Can a $50 room divider actually create privacy in a studio apartment? That sounds like one of those ideas that works in theory, looks good in a catalog, and then completely falls apart in real life. But when you are living in one open room, even a small amount of separation can change how the apartment feels. The goal here is not to build a perfect bedroom. The goal is to create enough visual privacy, enough emotional separation, and enough functional zoning that the studio stops feeling like one exposed multi-purpose box. In the before layout, everything is happening out in the open. The bed is visible from the living area. The living zone and sleep zone bleed into each other. There is no sense of arrival, no sense of retreat, and no moment where the room tells your brain, this is where I relax, and this is where I sleep. That is the problem we are trying to solve. Layout 1 starts with the most obvious answer, a simple folding screen. This is the classic low-cost privacy move. It is fast, renter-friendly, and easy to reposition. The upside is immediate. Suddenly, the bed is not the first thing your eye lands on. The downside is that it only gives partial coverage. You still know the bed is there, and the room still reads as one open space, but it is a clear improvement over doing nothing. Layout 2 pushes that idea a little further with a more substantial screen. A bamboo or woven divider gives stronger visual coverage and also adds warmth and texture. This matters because if a divider looks too temporary or too office-like, the whole room can feel awkward. A warmer screen feels more intentional, more residential, and more integrated into the apartment. It still does not solve sound or full enclosure, but visually it creates a stronger break. Layout 3 shifts to a curtained bed nook. Curtains are important because they do something hard dividers do not always do well. They soften the separation. They make the sleeping area feel tucked away instead of chopped off. This layout begins to create the emotional feeling of a bedroom, even if the footprint is still inside the same studio. It is especially useful when you want privacy at night, but openness during the day. Layout 4 takes the curtain idea wider and creates more of a room split. This is where the studio starts to feel less like one exposed rectangle and more like two overlapping zones. The sleep side becomes more private and the main area becomes more presentable. This type of solution works well because curtains are relatively inexpensive, easy to hang, and forgiving. They also keep the space visually soft instead of making it feel overbuilt. Layout 5 combines separation with function by introducing a divider wall that also works with a bench or storage piece. This is where the concept gets smarter. In a small apartment, every element has to earn its place. If a divider can also store things, anchor a zone, or make the transition between living and sleeping feel intentional, it becomes more than a privacy trick. It becomes part of the room's structure. Layout 6 returns to the folding screen idea, but with a more decorative wicker style. This kind of divider can be a great choice when you want something portable and low commitment. It is easier to move, easier to remove, and easier to test. The trade-off is that it usually gives less complete privacy than a curtain wall, and depending on the weave, it may still allow some visibility through it. So it wins on flexibility, but not always on concealment. Layout 7 goes back to the broad curtain room split concept because this is where the strongest low-cost privacy often shows up. A curtain stretched across the room can hide the sleeping zone, soften the room visually, and preserve the renter-friendly nature of the setup. It also has one of the best day-to-night transitions. Open it when you want the studio to breathe. Close it when you want a private sleep corner. That flexibility is hard to beat at a low price point. So which layout wins? The final winner is the curtain-based setup. It gives the strongest combination of privacy, softness, flexibility, and affordability. It does not require permanent construction. It does not visually clutter the studio the way too many standalone screens can. And it lets the room shift modes depending on the time of day. During the day, the studio can feel open and usable. At night, the sleep zone can feel protected and separate. The bigger lesson is that privacy in a studio does not always come from square footage. Sometimes it comes from zoning, layering, and controlling sightlines. A cheap divider will not magically create another room, but used well, it can create the feeling of one. And in a small space, that feeling can be the difference between a room that feels exposed and a room that finally feels livable.